A promise once broken can echo for years, but when the past walks back into your life, forgiveness becomes the hardest truth to face. Heartland Season 19. Episode 10 doesn't ask the characters to forget. It forces them to choose between pain that lingers and healing that scares them. And the ending? It leaves one question burning. Is forgiveness a doorway to peace, or the beginning of another heartbreak? The story begins with a strange stillness hanging over Heartland, the kind that feels like the world is waiting for something to break open. Amy senses it before anyone else. She moves through the morning with a quiet heaviness, her mind drifting back to memories she thought had faded with time. But episode 10 reminds us that the past never truly disappears. It waits in silence, returning when we least expect it. Amy tries to keep herself busy, but her thoughts betray her. Something inside her feels unsettled, like an old wound aching before rain. Jack watches her with the calm understanding of a man who knows the weight of unspoken emotions. He doesn't push, he doesn't pry, he simply notices. Even Lou can't ignore the way Amy pauses before speaking, as if every word carries a history she's afraid to revisit. Heartland has seen its share of storms, but this one starts inside the heart long before it reaches the ranch. Georgie returns home with her own shadows trailing behind her. She carries unspoken fears about the future, about mistakes she wishes she could erase. She wants to believe she's stronger now. But episode 10 shows that healing is never a straight path. Sometimes growth feels like walking barefoot across memories that still sting. Tim, stubborn as ever, hides his emotions behind sharp words and old habits. But even he feels the shift in the air. Forgiveness has never come easily to him. Not from others, and not from himself. And in this episode, the weight of his past choices presses harder than before. Then it happens, a moment so simple yet powerful enough to bend the entire episode. A letter arrives at Heartland, addressed to Amy. The handwriting is familiar, almost painfully so. She freezes, her breath caught halfway, as if the world has tilted beneath her feet. Everyone around her sees the tension ripple through her, but no one dares to speak. The letter is not dramatic in appearance, but its presence sends shockwaves through the ranch. Inside that envelope lies history. Love, regret, choices that shaped the path Amy walks now. She doesn't open it right away. She holds it like something fragile, something dangerous. The family watches her closely, unsure whether this moment will lead to healing or heartbreak. As the day unfolds, the weight of the unopened letter follows Amy like a shadow. She feeds the horses with steady hands, but her thoughts drift. She trains with focus, but her heart is elsewhere. The ranch feels familiar, grounding, yet she cannot escape the fear that reading the letter might reopen wounds she worked so hard to close. Jack offers comfort through silence. Lou offers support through presence. Georgie watches her with hope, believing that forgiveness might bring peace. Tim stays distant, protective in his own rough way, fearing that old pain might return stronger than before. By the time the sun sets, the letter remains unopened, but the decision is coming. And Heartland itself seems to hold its breath, knowing that once Amy reads those words, nothing will be the same. Night settles over Heartland, but the silence feels heavier than usual. Amy sits alone, the unopened letter still resting on the table like a quiet challenge. She keeps telling herself that the past should stay in the past, yet something inside her insists that she must know the truth it carries. Forgiveness is not just about letting go. Sometimes it's about confronting what's been avoided for too long. And this letter seems ready to reveal something she may not be prepared to face. The longer Amy hesitates, the stronger her emotions overwhelm her. She thinks about everything she has rebuilt, her family, her work, her strength. She wonders if opening the envelope will disturb the stability she has worked so hard to protect. But another part of her whispers that she cannot move forward while holding on to unfinished stories. Heartland has taught her many lessons, but episode 10 pushes her into the most difficult one, choosing between fear and clarity. Lou notices her struggle and approaches gently, without pressure. She reminds Amy that understanding the past doesn't weaken the present. Even then, Amy remains conflicted. Pain has shaped her, strengthened her, and left marks she rarely shows, and reopening that pain scares her more than she wants to admit. Still, she knows she can't avoid it forever. The letter feels like a knot tied around her heart, refusing to loosen until it's confronted. Meanwhile, Georgie senses the tension from a distance and quietly hopes Amy finds the courage she needs. Georgie herself is dealing with regrets and unspoken worries, and seeing Amy struggle reminds her that forgiveness is not something reserved for others. It's something she needs to extend to herself. Tim, on the other hand, stays restless. He fears that whatever is written in that letter might reopen wounds that could break the family's fragile peace. His protective nature is sharp, sometimes harsh, but rooted in a fear he never learned to express. The emotional pressure rises when Amy finally takes a deep breath and opens the envelope. The sound of the paper tearing feels louder than it should, like a moment she can't undo. Inside is a message filled with apologies, memories, and confessions she never expected to read. Every word carries weight. Every sentence pulls her deeper into emotions she thought had faded long ago. At first, she feels anger, at the timing, at the pain, at the memories being dragged back to the surface. Then sadness washes over her, soft and unavoidable. But beneath it all, there's something else. Something she didn't expect. Understanding. The letter doesn't erase the past or undo the hurt, but it reveals truths she never knew. And that truth shakes her more than the hurt itself. Amy closes her eyes for a long moment, letting the emotions settle. Forgiveness doesn't come easy, not when the wounds run deep. But episode 10 shows that forgiveness is not weakness. It's strength, the kind that takes time, courage, and a heart willing to heal. When she finally looks up, the family around her senses the shift. She isn't fully healed yet, but something inside her has changed. The fear holding her back loosens. The heaviness she carried begins to lift. She doesn't speak much, but she doesn't need to. Heartland has always understood that true healing speaks softly. As the night closes in, Amy realizes that the letter was never meant to reopen old wounds. It was meant to close them properly. And though the journey of forgiveness has only begun, episode 10 makes one thing clear. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it also sets the heart free. Morning comes slowly, carrying a quiet tension that settles over Heartland like fog. Amy wakes with the letter still vivid in her mind, every line echoing inside her chest. She tries to shake the feeling, but forgiveness doesn't fade with sunrise. It follows her, soft but persistent, pushing her toward decisions she isn't ready to make. The letter revealed truths she never expected, and now those truths demand understanding, not avoidance. As she steps outside, the air feels heavy, almost watchful. The family moves around her cautiously, sensing the storm inside her without needing words. Jack studies her with the familiar wisdom of a man who has carried his own regrets. He doesn't tell her what to do, but his presence reminds her that healing doesn't have to be faced alone. Even Lou, despite her worries, gives Amy silent support, knowing her sister needs space more than advice. But Tim struggles with that silence. His fear of seeing Amy hurt again makes him restless, almost defensive. He wants to protect her, but he also knows that forgiveness isn't something he can control for her. His worry comes out as frustration, the only way he knows how to express love without exposing his own scars. Deep down, he is terrified that forgiving the past will cost Amy her peace in the present. Then the moment arrives, the one Heartland has been building toward since the letter appeared. A familiar truck pulls into the driveway. The world seems to stop for a heartbeat. The man behind the letter steps out, carrying years of regret in his eyes. He doesn't walk forward confidently. He moves gently, almost cautiously, as if aware that one wrong step could break whatever fragile trust exists between him and Amy. Amy's breath catches. She isn't ready for this confrontation, but she knows running from it would only trap her in the same pain she's trying to escape. Forgiveness demands facing the truth, not hiding from it. She stands still, steadying herself as memories rise, some warm, some painful, all impossible to ignore. The family gathers around her instinctively. Jack stands close, Lou watches carefully, Georgie holds a quiet hope, and Tim prepares himself for whatever happens next. The atmosphere thickens with suspense, the kind that presses on the heart and refuses to ease. When Amy finally meets the man's eyes, something unspoken passes between them. A history that never got its ending. A story paused in the middle. A wound sealed only on the surface. His apology doesn't come fast. It comes slowly, in a voice worn down by honesty. He speaks of mistakes, absence, silence, and the fear that kept him away. He doesn't try to excuse himself, he simply lays the truth bare, letting Amy decide what comes next. That honesty shakes her more than any excuse would have. It forces her to see that forgiveness isn't a simple answer. It's a choice she must make with her whole heart. Amy listens quietly, not with anger, but with guarded strength. She has rebuilt herself without him. She has grown, survived, and learned what it means to stand alone. The past he brings with him cannot change that, but it can reshape how she understands it. She tells him softly that forgiveness is not something she can offer instantly. It must be earned with patience, honesty, and time. Her voice trembles slightly, not from weakness, but from the weight of the moment. The man nods, accepting her truth without protest. For the first time in years, Amy feels clarity, not peace, not closure, but clarity. The kind that comes when the heart finally faces what it has avoided for too long. The family watches, each reacting in their own way. Jack respects Amy's strength. Lou feels relief seeing her sister take control. Georgie sees hope in the possibility of healing. Tim, even through his frustration, begins to understand that forgiveness is not about reopening pain. It's about freeing the heart from what holds it down. As the moment settles, Amy realizes that episode 10 is not asking her to forget the past. It's asking her to confront it with courage. And for the first time, she takes a real step toward forgiveness. Not a promise, not a decision, but a willingness to try. The truth doesn't heal everyone at the same speed. While Amy feels a slow sense of clarity settling inside her, Ty's still stuck in that place between anger and disappointment. The storm outside has calmed, but the storm inside Heartland hasn't. And in episode 10, this emotional tension becomes heavier, almost like everyone is holding their breath, waiting for Ty to choose what kind of man he wants to be now. Ty walks through the house, quiet but thoughtful, and every corner reminds him of what he used to protect and what he once lost. He hears Amy's voice, he feels the weight of past mistakes, and he realizes something uncomfortable. Blaming others won't fix the broken parts inside him. This moment of self-reflection is powerful because Ty isn't angry at Amy alone. He's angry at himself for not being strong enough to let go of old pain. And that silent battle inside him makes this episode more intense than any physical fight the series has shown before. At the same time, Jack watches Ty closely, not with judgment, but with understanding. Jack knows what it means to carry regret for too long. He knows the cost of choosing pride over connection. So, when he finally gets a quiet moment with Ty, his words cut through the noise. Running doesn't make the hurt go away. Facing it does. It's not a lecture, not a demand. It's the voice of someone who has lived through that same storm and survived it. And this is where Ty's emotional journey becomes truly gripping. Ty begins to see that forgiveness isn't something he has to give Amy, it's something he needs to give himself. The guilt of disappearing, the guilt of missing time with his family, the guilt of returning too late, it all sits on his shoulders. And the more he avoids it, the heavier it becomes. Episode 10 shows this weight through every small choice he makes, every look he gives, every pause before speaking. It's subtle, but it hits deeply. Meanwhile, Amy waits with a quiet strength. She isn't forcing anything, she isn't begging, she's simply showing, through her actions, that love doesn't mean perfection. It means staying when things are difficult. This patience from Amy creates a slow, emotional pull on Ty, something that brings him closer even when he tries to stay distant. Phoenix's recovery also becomes symbolic here. As the horse fights to stand again, to heal from his injuries, the entire family begins to see their own struggles mirrored in him. His slow progress reflects Ty's inner healing, a reminder that recovery takes time, but it's possible. And this shared focus brings the characters together in an unspoken way, building emotional tension through hope. By the end of this section, Ty is no longer running. He's no longer hiding behind old wounds or anger. He's standing in the middle of his past and his future, finally realizing that the only way forward is to stop fighting the people who love him and start fighting the pain inside himself. And that shift sets the stage for the most powerful moment of episode 10, the moment where forgiveness finally reaches its breaking point, and the story prepares for a resolution no one saw coming. just when it feels like the emotional distance between Amy and Ty might finally soften, episode 10 delivers the moment everyone has been waiting for. The moment where all the tension, guilt, fear, and unspoken love finally collide. It doesn't happen through a dramatic speech or a sudden twist. It happens in a quiet way, the kind of moment Heartland is famous for. A moment that feels real, raw, and painfully honest. Ty sees Amy standing near Phoenix, gently brushing his coat, her hands moving in that familiar, calming rhythm he has always admired. And something inside him shifts. For the first time since returning, he doesn't see her as part of the problem. He sees her as part of the reason he wants to heal. He walks closer, hesitant, almost uncertain of what to say. And Amy looks up, meeting his eyes with the same softness she's carried through the whole episode. No anger, no disappointment, just quiet hope. That look disarms him more than any argument ever could. Ty takes a long breath, the kind that feels like letting go of years of weight. The silence between them says everything. Every wound, every missed moment, every fear they avoided talking about. And when he finally speaks, his voice isn't angry or broken. It's honest. He tells her he's tired of carrying the past like a shield. He admits he's scared. Scared of hurting her again, scared of failing as a father, scared of facing the life he ran from. This confession becomes the emotional peak of episode 10 because it's the moment Ty stops pretending he's fine. Amy listens without interrupting, giving him the space he never allowed himself to take. Her response is simple, but powerful. She tells him healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, in moments like this, moments where both people choose to stay instead of walk away. Her words land softly, but they carry enough strength to steady Ty's heart. And for the first time, he feels like forgiveness might actually be possible. But the real turning point comes when Ty gently places his hand on Phoenix's neck. The horse, sensing his presence, leans into him. It's symbolic, almost poetic, a reminder that even the most wounded spirits can trust again. And in that moment, Ty realizes that forgiveness isn't something you wait for. It's something you build, one choice at a time. As the episode approaches its ending, Ty and Amy stand side by side, not fully healed, not completely reunited, but finally moving toward each other instead of away. The emotional tension doesn't disappear. Instead, it transforms into something more hopeful, something that promises a stronger bond ahead, even after everything they've been through. By the final moments, the storm clouds over Heartland are finally fading. The family, Phoenix, and especially Ty carry a quiet sense of peace, fragile but real. Episode 10 closes with the message that forgiveness isn't a destination. It's a journey, and for the first time, Ty and Amy are taking that journey together. The ending leaves viewers with a powerful mix of warmth and suspense, wondering what new beginning will emerge from this long-awaited moment of healing.